Back to the subject of doing something about the wrongs that I thought were being done in Central America mid 80s and then gradually all over the world as I came to find out. This is a book I got in early 90s. I worked at Barnes & Noble at the time. We were selling it for almost $50 when it came out the following year. It went to $3.98 if I'm not mistaken. It was the following year. And with my employee discount, this book came to be like $3. About like 60, 70 copies of this book. And reason was in an indirect way. I just wanted to, some of the friends that I gave this book to, wanted them to think and reflect on what it means to be an American. And this page here, of course, has a quote from Alexis de Tocqueville. Remember him? I mentioned him. Him and Beaumont came to study the penitentiary system. I came to visit it. And on the first couple of pages of this book, I would write down a quotation from Federalist Number 1 by Alexander Hamilton. Which is right there. I've underlined it, and you can take a look at it. But basically, he's asking the question whether we can establish a government from reflection and choice, or whether we're just doomed and destined to depend on it by force and accident. And here I had replaced the word empire by humanity. So for a long time, I've been thinking of a blueprint for a just world, a world where we all can not only enjoy our dignity, but also have a prosperous world that would be a wonderful world for the future generations and the rest of. And then we come here to my copy of Northern Anthology, and since I'd come across resistance to civil government in early 90s, and then I went back to it quite a bit. So this few lines kind of gives you part of my sentiment about why I have decided to go the route of civil disobedience. And I'm gonna play the audio. The audio is in public domain, so I'm not violating any laws. But it's gonna start right there, so take a listen.
I have never declined paying the highway tax because I am as desirous of being a good neighbor as I am of being a bad subject. And as for supporting schools, I am doing my part to educate my fellow countrymen now. It is for no particular item in the tax bill that I refuse to pay it. I simply wish to refuse allegiance to the state, to withdraw and stand aloof from it effectually. I do not care to trace the course of my dollar, if I could, till it buys a man or a musket to shoot one with. The dollar is innocent. But I am concerned to trace the effects of my allegiance. In fact, I quietly declare war with the state after my fashion, though I will still make use and get what advantages of her I can, as is usual in such cases. If others pay the...
So, I, too, in 85 or so, decided that in my fashion, I'm going to stop greasing the machinery of plunder and machinery of sabotage of other governments, a machinery that will create mayhem and killing in other places just so that we could stop, quote unquote, the spread of communism. And I had ideas on how we can make this a better world, and since the ideas I have, I know we need to go through a transition, and the transition means that some people, it's going to be fiscally, possibly for some people, a little difficult. So I said, if I'm going to talk the talk, I got to walk the walk. So I decided to live very simply, decided not to make a lot of money. What little I had, of course, with my son, I had to spend it to get by, and I shared whatever little I could with others in many different forms. I was blessed to be able to do that. And here we are, 30 years later, I'm sitting here and telling you, and I've done it. And so we'll just leave it there for right now. As far as the subject of civil disobedience goes, just one more thing, as I've mentioned before, if you can express yourself freely, the only way to confront a government, if you think the government is not doing things rightly, or their flawed policies that you disagree with, it's going to have to be peacefully and in a civil disobedient manner. However, if you're not being allowed to speak your mind, then just go for it any way you can. And let me show you one other thing that will actually bookend my thoughts, give you a glimpse of why I started doing what I did as far as not cooperating with the government in my... This book came out in '88. It's a companion to a PBS documentary that Bill Moyers did. I highly recommend this if you want to know, get a good picture of what was in the background, and also what other things the government's still doing, and by not being exactly truthful. So statements from Thoreau and everything on this is definitely recommended. I recommend that you all take a look at this. It gives you the background of a lot of CIA activities, a lot of the unfortunate things that the government did, and it's available actually on YouTube and probably other places online. And I definitely say watch the documentary and read this book. The book is very thin, introduction by Henry Still Commissaire. And I'll let you just listen to a clip of the video or audio of the...
And it's heard from the Capitol down to Main Street, and in this song by pop singer Jackson Brown.
I've been waiting for something to happen for a week or a month.